Sometimes all it takes is a single viral video, a really heated moment, a political connection, and suddenly you've got a national debate on your hands. That's exactly what happened with this Greene incident. It brings up some tough questions about accountability and intolerance. So let's break down what happened and, more importantly, why it matters.
So it all kicked off with this one video. The footage showed this raw, pretty unsettling confrontation. And it didn't just get a few views, it completely blew up. It became a real flashpoint, and it kind of forced a conversation that, honestly, a lot of people weren't ready to have.
And look, you don't even need to see the video itself to understand just how serious this was. According to witnesses who were there, this wasn't just some simple disagreement. No, this involved what they called inflammatory language and remarks aimed directly at the religion of 3 Muslim women. And that, right there, is what really set the stage for all the public outcry.
So, the big question is, right? How did one moment, one confrontation, escalate so quickly into a national story? Well, the whole thing unfolds in a few key parts, starting with the incident itself.
Okay, so first things first, we really need to get into the specifics of what actually happened. Who was involved and how did this whole thing even go down?
All right, let's just lay out the facts. The man at the heart of the video, that's Greene, who is the ex-husband of Congresswoman Marjorie Taylor Greene. The incident is being described as a verbal assault on 3 Muslim women. But the real game changer here, the thing that made this explode, was a bystander with a camera. That's what took this private moment and made it completely unavoidably public.
And here is where a personal incident turns into a political firestorm. Because that connection to a sitting member of Congress, well, that changed everything.
This created a huge amount of tension, almost immediately. On one side, you have the public and the media just demanding that Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene say something, that she address her ex-husband's behavior. But on the other side, just official silence. According to the source material, no formal statement was ever issued.
So you might be asking, why was there so much focus on her response? Well, this incident didn't happen in a vacuum, right? The calls for her to speak out were so loud because of her own history of making controversial statements in the past. So as the video just kept spreading, the conversation pretty quickly turned from shock to demands for real action. So what did that actually look like?
The response wasn't just people being upset online. No, organizations that protect religious minorities started calling for very specific, concrete actions. First, a full investigation by law enforcement. Second, a serious evaluation of whether this thing could legally be considered a hate crime. And third, they wanted to see swift action. This really pushed the whole conversation from just outrage to a demand for actual legal accountability.
When you zoom out, this story is about so much more than just one video. It's really become a lens for looking at these broader and often pretty uncomfortable conversations that we're having about our society. The source is incredibly direct here. It frames the incident as a blatant display of Islamophobia. And that specific term is really key because it changes how we see this. It's not just a case of someone being rude. It's being presented as a symptom of a much deeper, more pervasive religious bias that is still a major issue. So when you boil this all down, what does this one incident really show us? Well, for one, it's a pretty stark reminder that the fight against religious intolerances, it's far from over. It also forces a really tough conversation about where the responsibility of a public figure begins and ends when it comes to their family. And finally, it really just serves as a catalyst, pushing all of us to talk more about hate speech and respect. And that leaves us with this one big, lingering question. In a world where any private moment can become a public spectacle overnight, what is the responsibility of a public figure for the actions of people they're connected to? There are no easy answers for sure, but it's a question this whole incident forces us all to think about.